About 2 years ago, we started a restoration project of a 34-foot venture that had twin Yamaha 250 horsepower engines on it. The boat would run about mid-30s at wide open throttle, and so we repowered it with twin 300 horsepower Mercury Verados and completely rewired the entire boat. Adding new electronics, a new stereo system, pumps, lights, a bimini top in the front, gas shocks, latches, and many other updates, giving you a great reason to make sure you are subscribed to the channel, click that like button, and watched our other videos, including the ones where we did all the actual work on this exact boat here. Before the last video, we lost a lot of the video files of finishing up the project though, and so we never ended up making a completed updated video for this project, and we have had many requests for an overview of the finished project. So now here we are 2 years later, and this is what we have come up with since the restoration and how many of the components have held up to the time since they were new. With the extra 100 horsepower, the supercharged engines, and a pair of different props, the boat is now cruising at about 30 to 35 miles per hour with the engines turning around 4,500 RPM and having a little trim in their angle to help increase the fuel economy, which at cruising speed is burning around 12 to 15 gallons per hour per engine, depending on the weather conditions like the wind and current, whether you're in the Gulf Stream or not. And then at wide open throttle, it's now running about 46 to 48 miles per hour and burns about 60 gallons an hour between the two engines. I think if we played around with the props a little bit more, we could probably get the boat to hit 50, but I don't see us putting the time and energy into that project. One thing or style of the Venture that most people love is the plexiglass drop down that covers the electronics. It's got these two locks down here that allow you to lock it up, and it creates a super clean look to the console when it's closed. We had to move the compass up here on top of the console because of the subwoofer, the autopilot pump, the steering pump, amplifier, and the other electronics that we put in were all causing it to spin with the interference coming from all of that. Then we just filled the hole where the old compass was and added another cup holder because you could never have enough cup holders on a boat. Adding the autopilot is one of those must-have features that we covered in our features to have on boats bigger than 24 feet video, and these are just awesome to have. You just set your course and cruise on, allowing you to do whatever it is that you need to. Obviously, someone has to keep an eye out for other boats, but I'd always promote someone getting the autopilot if they are even considering it. They are amazing. We put tilt helms in both the downstairs and the upstairs station, which are nice to adjust the wheel to get it out of the way depending on what's going on. Here on the left side of the console, we've got all the switches that mostly control the pumps. We've got the forward and aft bilge pumps, we've got the live well switch, which we have the pumps and valves to down here in the console so that we can easily access the shutoff valves to both of the pumps. As well as having the shutoff valve that goes to the toilet. We have the diverter for the toilet here to change from pumping it into the waste tank, and the discharge with its shutoff valve we just talked about. In here we've also got our fresh and saltwater pumps that run throughout the boat, but we'll cover those next after we talk about the live well here. Which I believe is a 55-gallon tank that's filled up by those two 1100 gallon per hour pumps from up front in the console. And the light in here just comes on whenever you turn the pumps on. Next, we've got our freshwater and raw water pump switches, which we have 2 locations for each. There's a freshwater spigot here on the port side of the boat, then there is a raw water spigot here on the starboard side of the boat, which produces plenty of power for cleaning things off. And then we also have a sink here in the back of the boat where there are both another freshwater spigot as well as another saltwater spigot. Which is really nice to shower off back here or wash your hands or whatever else you might want to clean off. We keep a bottle of soap and the live well net here in the sink as well. Then underneath the pump switches, we've got 3 auxiliary switches, which the first one turns on the underwater lights, but we'll cover those on the other side of the console, which is where all the light switches are. The second auxiliary switch turns on the USB and DC power ports, so you can charge anything up you might need to, run a spotlight or a blender or whatever you might want to. And then our third auxiliary switch turns on the forward deck spreader light, and we'll go ahead and move into covering the lights with that. This boat has this nice custom acrylic switch panel that has each switch name cleared out so that we can turn on the dash lights and they all illuminate red, which looks really good at night. So the forward deck spreader light just lights up the bow area here. It's under the T-top, so it's to light up the deck, unlike the other forward floodlight, which is up on the tower, and that is more of a spotlight or docking light. Unfortunately, it looks like this is no longer working now, so we'll have to change that light out eventually. We didn't end up changing out any of the spreader lights when we did the restoration because they were all working great, but it looks like this is the first one to go. And speaking of things that aren't working already, when you turn on the underwater lights here, 2 of them are working great, but then this one light here on the starboard side is already failing, and it's only got 2 LEDs left that are still illuminating. But that's not uncommon for some underwater lights. They are all guaranteed to fail and leak at some point. Unfortunately, this one did in under 2 years of use. Moving on to the gunnel lights or the courtesy lights, these are rope lights that are going from the back to the front of the boat, and they do a great job of lightly lighting up the deck all around the boat. Now we've got 2 T-top tube lights that are over the cockpit area and the front seat of the bow, and they work great lighting up the boat to see when you need to. Then we've got our aft spreaders, one on each side of the back of the boat here, and they light up great as well. Then lastly, we've got the storage lights, and these light up all of the storage compartments that are in the boat, including the fish boxes. There are 2 storage compartments on both sides of the console. Then underneath the front seat here we have a cooler. Which this is just the old canvas from the bimini top that the stitching finally gave out, and so we had to replace the canvas with this new black canvas, so we kept the same bimini frame that we've got on the front of the boat here. Then here in the front we've got the anchor locker, where we've got a couple of different anchors. We've got the wonderfully light fortress anchor, and then we've got the good old trusty grappling hook anchor, and then we've got a smaller anchor that we'll use out the back at the sandbar or in other situations. And something that we haven't gotten done yet is that we need to replace the cushions here on the gunnels around the boat. Some of the ones in the back have been replaced and they aren't in that bad of shape, but then the others are in pretty bad shape and they need to be replaced. Especially the ones up here in the front, and then the ones here in the back where the bench seat is, which is another great thing about this boat, where you can flip out this bench seat and then let it down whenever you aren't using it. We normally just keep a cooler back here though, so the seat doesn't get used as much as you would think. Now back to the cushions here. Ironically, we had someone clean the boat and they actually used a pressure washer up inside of the boat, which isn't a bad thing, but they used a pressure washer that had way too much pressure for doing the inside of a boat. And especially on an older boat like this. Old boats will actually begin to get chips in the gel coat from air voids in the gel coat or fiberglass, like all these spots here and around the deck. So with too much pressure, it will chip out any of these weak spots in the gel coat and then rip this hole in the cushion here in the front. So the cushions do need to be replaced here pretty soon, but we haven't gotten to that point yet. Back to the fish boxes up here in the front. These are great big boxes that are wonderful for storage as well if you aren't using them for fish boxes. One thing to note is you definitely need some solid gas shocks on big hatches like this. In rough water, if one of these hatches comes down on your finger, you could probably end up losing a finger from how heavy these things are. I think these gas shocks are 80 pounds a piece, which makes them work great for holding up these hatches. Now then, under the gunnels, we've got the side pieces to the isinglass, or some people call them splash guards. Whichever you prefer, they are great for when it's really rough. They just go on the sides of the isinglass here and over to the gunnels, so they will keep anyone at the helm dry. Then back here in the back, we've got the door that goes out to the transom where the ladder is, and having a nice walk-through area is really nice to have. Here in the leaning post, or what some like to call a rocket launcher, we've got all the tackle storage and shelves for all the fishing gear. We've got lures, weights, hooks, and some tools and whatnots. Again, the really clean look of the Venture being the nice acrylic doors with gas shocks to keep them open. Above, we've got this nice prepping station or shelf with some more cup holders and rod holders. In this back corner, we've got the fuel filters and tank selectors, as well as another mounted fire extinguisher, which we've got fire extinguishers spread out all over the boat actually. I think we've got like 4 or 5 of them stashed away throughout the boat. Here in this little catch-all compartment under the helm, there are 2, as well as some cleaners, rags, and some extra lines. Then there's a metal bar for a footrest here on the front of the leaning post. And under the cushion, we've got all the flares, first aid kits, and whatnots as well. Bilge area, not much to see down here. A couple of bilge pumps, float switches, power posts, and then the trim tab pumps. Up here above the console is another catch-all compartment, supposed to be an electronics box, but we don't have any electronics up here, so it's just another catch-all compartment for miscellaneous stuff. We didn't go over the nav lights or the anchor lights, but we really don't need to do that. Up here in the tower, it's pretty basic. Trim tab controls, a couple of cup holders, GPS, compass, gauges, and your control box. You can't really fit anything outside of the canvas cover for the controls inside of the compartment here though. These are usually like this on towers, being stuffed full of all the wiring and components for the station controls. We've got the Sirius XM radio antenna up here, and now you can find out more of how to do all these kinds of upgrades on your own boat by visiting our website at bornagainboating.com, where we have more instructional content for you and your boat. That pretty much concludes the Venture Tour though. Let us know what your favorite feature about this boat and your boat is in the comments section below. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with other boaters, hit the like button, and all that other good stuff that helps YouTube know that you love learning about boats, boating, and being a better boater. You can see the restoration process of this boat by watching this playlist here. Now thank you all for hanging out with us this week, and we look forward to seeing you next week.